Yo, what's good? Amateur Lore here, and we're back trying to find out every college football team's highest draft pick since 2000. And today we're covering the Conference USA, the last G5 conference left to cover before we move on to the P4. Be sure to comment any teams, ideas, or topics you'd like me to cover, and also a like and a sub would be smacko. These videos take a while to make. Blah 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 blah, let's jump right in. The first team's draft history we're taking a look at in the great country known as the Conference USA is a team that I'm going to be honest, I had no clue they played high-level FBS D1 football, the Delaware Blue Hens. Okay, I thought I was crazy for not knowing that, but they actually just made the full transition to Division I FBS football, with their 2025 college football season being their inaugural season. So good luck. I think it will be fun having some high-level football played in the first American state. Now, while they just made the jump to the show, their draft history is nothing to scoff at, having 9 players drafted into the NFL since 2000. And before we talk about their highest draft pick since 2000, I want to shout out their most decorated alumni, Rich Gannon, who'd be selected back in 1987 in the 4th round, 97th overall to the New England Patriots. His career wouldn't start off hot, as it would take him until his age 34 season with the Oakland Raiders for him to find his stride. But once he did, he was a top-tier quarterback, making 4 straight Pro Bowls with 2 All-Pro first teams. And in 2002, at the age of 37, he'd win the NFL MVP. Excellent career, but for the Blue Hens' highest NFL draft pick since 2000, I think we all know who that is, quarterback Joe Flacco, who'd be selected in 2008, 18th overall by the Baltimore Ravens. The original Joe Cool would play 17 years in the league, surprisingly never making a Pro Bowl, but his postseason run in 2002 was nasty, leading his squad to a Super Bowl where he'd win the Super Bowl MVP. Oh yeah, and before we move on, Joe is still playing in the league today, so shout out to him. He's had a great NFL career that's still going on. From Delaware, we head all the way down south to the state of Florida for the next team up in Conference USA, the Florida International Panthers. Right off the bat, first thing I noticed was that the Panthers have only had 10 players drafted into the NFL as we speak. But please do not let that fool you, as there are a couple of big names on this list, like tight end Jonnu Smith, who was drafted back in 2017, 100th overall by the Tennessee Titans. His 2024 season with the Dolphins would be his best one to date, catching 88 passes for 884 yards and 8 touchdowns, making his only Pro Bowl so far. Another big-time name that came from FIU is wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, who would be selected in the 3rd round, 92nd overall by the Colts. He'd play 11 years in the NFL, making 4 Pro Bowls, and even leading the league in receiving yards with 1,448 back in 2016. Bro was a real beast on the field for Indy. And while both of these cats are great representatives for FIU, they're not the program's highest draft pick since 2000. That honor goes to defensive back Jonathan Cyprien, who was selected in the 2nd round, 33rd overall by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jonathan would play 7 years in the league, never really being able to find himself a home, but he made it to the show and is Florida International's highest draft pick of all time. So good shit. Staying in the state I call a home, and also the state where we catch alligators with our bare hands, for the next Conference USA football team, the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. The Gamecocks have only had 14 players in their entire history drafted into the NFL, and a vast majority of those picks were before 2000, as they only have had 2 players selected since 2000. Okay, so before we cover their highest, I want to shout out their best alumni of all time, Eric Davis, who'd be selected in the 2nd round, 53rd overall by the San Francisco 49ers in the 1990 NFL Draft. Eric Davis put together an excellent NFL career, playing for a total of 13 seasons, winning a Super Bowl and being an All-Pro first-team selection in 1995. I think my favorite stat about him was that he went 5 seasons in a row picking off the quarterback 5 times or more. All in all, Eric Davis was a beast, but he's not the Gamecocks' highest NFL draft pick since 2000. That honor goes to Saran Neal, who was picked in the 5th round, 154th overall by the Buffalo Bills back in 2018. Homie never was able to be a consistent starter, but he stuck around the league for 7 years, and as we speak, he just signed a 2-year deal with the 49ers. So shout out to him for finding consistent work. I wish I could. Yo. I swear Conference USA must have added a whole bunch of teams this year, because I had no clue the Kennesaw State Owls were in this conference, but I guess so. Okay, so this is going to be a really quick entry, as the Owls have only had 1 player ever drafted into the NFL, which takes us back to 2023 when defensive lineman Travis Bell will get picked in the 7th round, 218th overall by the Chicago Bears. He wouldn't stay in Chicago long, as he now plays for the Vikings, and the most I could find was that he is still under contract for the 2025 season. So hopefully he can make some noise this year and keep his job in the league. Alright, next team up in the Conference USA is the Liberty Flames. And it may be a little bit of recency bias, but I could have sworn the Flames have produced way more NFL draft picks since 2005. But that's not the case. Actually, I just looked it up and the Flames have only been playing FBS ball since 2018. But they've been really good in all 7 years, even having 2 10-win seasons. Expect a lot more names to come from this program in the future. For the Liberty Flames' highest NFL draft pick since 2000, we don't have to go back too far, as in 2022, quarterback Malik Willis would be selected in the 3rd round, 86th overall by the Tennessee Titans. Does anyone else remember when Malik Willis was like the odds-on favorite on gambling sites to go 1st overall? Only a fool would have put money on that. I'm a fool. Anyway, Malik Willis has found a role as a backup on the Packers, and he's been incredibly solid. Maybe he finds a starting job soon after learning some more from Jordan Love. No bottle cap, the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs draft history shocked the hell out of me, having 24 players drafted into the NFL since 2000. We still got a couple more teams to cover from Conference USA, but I'm pretty positive the Bulldogs have the best draft history out of any team in the conference. Before we talk about their highest NFL draft pick since 2000, I have to shout out 2 NFL legends that played for Louisiana Tech, starting with quarterback Kerry Bradshaw, who'd be selected back in the 1970 NFL draft 1st overall by the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Blonde Bomber is a 3-time Pro Bowler, 4-time Super Bowl champ, 2-time Super Bowl MVP, as well as winning the NFL MVP during the 1978 season. The other legend I want to mention from the Bulldogs is tackle Willie Roaf, who was picked back in the 1993 NFL draft by the New Orleans Saints in the first round, 8th overall. His nickname was Nasty, and it was the perfect fit as he would make 11 Pro Bowls in his 13-year NFL career, being voted as an All-Pro 9 times with 4 of those being first-team selections. And of course the cherry on top being his gold jacket as he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2012. Now, while both of these studs' NFL careers are amazing, this video is about teams' highest draft pick since 2000. So for that, we have to go back to 2016, when defensive tackle Vernon Butler would get scooped up by the Carolina Panthers in the first round, 30th overall. Birdie would play 7 years in the league, never being able to put it all together, but at least he made it to the big dance. I was trying to find out if he still played in the league, but from what I could find, he's done playing professional ball. From Louisiana, we travel over to Tennessee for the next team up in Conference USA, the Middle Tennessee Blue Raiders. The Blue Raiders' draft history is a slight drop-off from the previous team we covered, only having 8 players drafted into the NFL since 2000. And while those numbers are iffy, there are some names I'm sure you recognize, like safety Kevin Byard, who'd be picked up conveniently enough by the Tennessee Titans back in the 2016 NFL Draft in the 3rd round, 64th overall. Birdie has put together an incredible NFL career so far, leading the NFL in interceptions with 8 during the 2017 season, as well as earning 2 first-team All-Pro selections. He is currently still playing on the Chicago Bears and looks to have a few more productive seasons left in him. Now, while Kevin Byard has been a beast on the field, he is not the Blue Raiders' highest NFL draft pick since 2000, as that honor goes to Tyrone Calico. And this has nothing to do with anything, but I have a Calico cat. Okay, Tyrone would be selected back in the 2003 NFL Draft by guess who? The Tennessee Titans, in the 2nd round, 60th overall. He would show promise in his first season in the league, scoring 4 touchdowns, but he would suffer a knee injury and never would be able to recover, which sucks because he really showed a lot of promise. Yo, Conference USA is all over the place. We got teams all the way over in Delaware, and for this next team up, we have to slide over to Missouri. Well, now that I say it out loud, I guess it makes sense for Conference USA to have teams all over America. For the Missouri State Bears, this entry is going to be a little quicker than the rest, as the Bears have only had 4 players drafted into the NFL since 2000. So let's not waste any time and head back to 2011, when guard David Arkin would be selected in the 4th round, 110th overall by the Dallas Cowboys. He would bounce from team to team, never really being able to find a home in the NFL, but shout out to bro for being the Missouri State Bears' highest NFL draft pick since 2000. Alright, next team that we're taking a look at in Conference USA is the New Mexico State Aggies. Not really much to say here, as pretty similar to the previous team we just covered, the draft history has not been anything too spectacular, only having 7 players drafted into the NFL since the year 2000. Alright, for the Aggies' highest NFL draft pick since 2000, we have to go back to the 2011 season, when the Green Bay Packers would select defensive back Devon House in the 4th round, 131st overall. He would play about 8 seasons in the NFL, being a solid player but not really standing out too much. But congrats to him for making it to the league and staying around for so long. I know he had to make at least a decent bag. Conference USA really has a whole bunch of teams I had no idea were playing high-level Division I football. For example, like the next team up, the Sam Houston Bearcats. If you're like me and were uninformed, Sam Houston's been playing ball with the big boys since the 2023 college football season, and have produced a total of 6 NFL draft picks since the year 2000, which is pretty impressive considering they just made the jump to varsity ball. Alright, so for the Bearcats' highest NFL draft pick since 2000, we don't have to go back too far, as in 2018, defensive tackle PJ Hall would get picked up by the Oakland Raiders in the 2nd round, 57th overall. PJ would play a total of 3 seasons in the league, not really being able to ever find his steez, but from what I could find on him, he tried his luck in the USFL and XFL, but was never able to make it back to the NFL. But hey, he still made a bag and is Sam Houston's highest NFL draft pick ever. Staying in the state of Texas for the next team up in Conference USA, the UTEP Miners. This is mad random, but does anybody here remember a movie called Glory Road? Long story short, it's about Texas El Paso winning the NCAA basketball national title in 1966 with an all-black starting lineup. As a kid, I used to watch this movie over and over again with my little sister, and I pretty much can recite the whole entire movie word for word. Okay, I just wanted to share that. Anyway, UTEP's draft history is actually pretty impressive, having a total of 17 players selected in the NFL draft since 2000, with one of their most notable selections being running back Aaron Jones, who was drafted back in 2017 in the 5th round, 182nd overall. Aaron Jones has been an incredibly solid running back throughout his 8-year NFL career up to this point, totaling over 1,000 yards from scrimmage in 5 of his 8 years of being a pro. He is currently playing for the Minnesota Vikings and just signed a nice 2-year, $20 million deal, so big ups to him. However, he clearly is not the Miners' highest NFL draft pick since 2000, as that would have to go to guard Will Hernandez, who would be selected back in the 2018 NFL Draft in the 2nd round, 34th overall by the New York Giants. Brody has been productive in his 7-year career up to this point, starting in 91 games. As of right now, I believe he is a free agent, so hopefully he gets scooped up soon. Alright, for the final team in the great conference known as the USA, we got the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Okay, so wow, Western Kentucky is no stranger to producing NFL draft picks, having a very respectable 18 players selected since 2000. Real quick, there's one player/alumni I want to shout out before we jump into their highest draft pick, which takes us back to 2016, when tight end Tyler Higbee would get picked up by the LA Rams in the 4th round, 110th overall. He's played 9 years in the NFL so far and has been a nice 3rd or 4th option through the air. The only reason I really brought him up was because he greened for me on so many player props, and I just wanted to say thank you. You've definitely helped pay a couple of bills. Okay, so for their highest NFL draft pick since 2000, we don't have to go back too far, as in 2017, Forrest Lamp would be drafted by the LA Chargers in the 2nd round, 38th overall. He would play 4 years in the NFL, never really making too much noise, but I hear he's a sports agent now and a business owner. So good shit, at least he's making bank without sacrificing his body.